YouTuber Casey Neistat challenged all non-political YouTubers to speak out about the election and told them to have backbone and told all of their viewers to challenge them if they're not willing to talk about politics, specifically about Hillary Clinton. Take a look.
I will be voting for Hillary Clinton. This is about a megalomaniac who's driven by nothing but ego. A man who cares exactly zero about the people of this country. A person who brags about sexually assaulting women and shames others for the way they look. I'm speaking up now because this election has very little to do with politics, policy, or legislation. This has to do with morals and principles. I'm voting for Hillary because, make no mistake, there is only one person that can defeat him. One person that can keep him away from power, and it is her. I'm not a huge fan of her stale politics. I'm entirely aware of all the criticism against her. I'm aware of all of her failures and shortcomings. But she's intelligent, and she knows what she's doing. More importantly, she's mentally sound, she's responsible, and she's sane. I want to end this by calling out all the big YouTubers. Some I know, and some you viewers might know. See, making videos like this, they're not popular, they're not going to get you subscribers, they're not going to boost your view counts. But there is something much more valuable than subscribers or dollars, and that's backbone. That is not being scared to stand up for what is right, regardless of the costs. If we're all banded together, we have the power to ensure that this tax-avoiding, lying, racist, misogynist stays away from power and out of the White House. But it requires all of us coming together. So if your favorite YouTuber says things like, I don't like to talk politics on my channel, or I'm not going to reveal who I'm voting for, call them out. Sitting on the sidelines this time around is not okay. This election is different. And if this guy gets elected, and you stood back with your arms folded and didn't speak out against him, it makes you complicit. It makes you partially responsible for handing him the reins of power.
So I mean, admittedly, I've never seen any of Casey Neistat's videos prior to this, but it went viral, and many of the other big YouTubers that I watch were talking about it, like Jacqueline Glenn, Boogie2988. So I decided to respond to this as well, because even though I think he's a nice guy, he just seems, very genuine, and I agree with this assessment of Donald Trump. There were some parts of the video that I take issue with. So he said, I'm not a huge fan of Hillary Clinton's stale politics, and I'm aware of the criticisms against her. And I have a problem with this because you don't get into those criticisms. You're not being actually objective, because it's more than just stale politics when it comes to Hillary Clinton, Casey. Her politics are dangerous. She has a Syrian no-fly zone that would potentially reignite the Cold War. Her cybersecurity policy could potentially lead to a new world war, because she said that she's going to respond to cyber threats militarily, and she called out Russia and China and North Korea. That's very troubling. So it's not just her having stale politics and being a centrist. This is about someone who is also dangerous. Now, make no mistake, I agree with you that Donald Trump is a very dangerous candidate. But Hillary Clinton is also dangerous, and in disliking Donald Trump, you don't have to paint Hillary Clinton as a saint. And that's a problem that many Democratic Party loyalists seem to have. Just because you dislike Donald Trump and are voting against him and supporting Hillary Clinton doesn't mean that you have to convince yourself that Hillary Clinton is just the savior to the Democratic Party. She's not. Her politics are, in fact, stale. She's center-right, she's a warmonger, and she is in the pocket of big business. She embodies and exemplifies everything that we dislike about the political establishment, so you don't have to pretend or convince yourself that she's great. That's why she is the most historically disliked Democratic nominee ever. So you don't have to lie to yourself, you don't have to lie to us. We can be honest about Hillary Clinton even if we dislike Donald Trump. Another thing he said is that you can't be afraid to stand up for what is right. And I take issue with this because it implies that Hillary Clinton, by voting for her, you're doing what is morally right. How is that the case? How is it not more morally right to vote for Jill Stein? I just don't understand how you could paint Hillary Clinton as the right moral choice. If you're trying to be moral, if you're trying to look out for the American people and citizens abroad, then unless you're uninformed about politics and her policies, I don't see how you can make that case. You can say that, yeah, I'm strategically supporting Hillary Clinton and will be voting for her because I want to defeat Donald Trump. That's fine. But to state that she's not just the superior choice to Trump, but the moral choice is very problematic because Hillary Clinton is a morally bankrupt candidate. There's nothing more immoral than killing innocent civilians with her war policies, and she admitted, according to WikiLeaks, that she knows her Syrian no-fly zone would lead to a lot of civilians getting killed. Is that the moral choice you want to make? Now, look, I'm not saying that Donald Trump will be a pacifist. We all know that he met with defense contractors. He talked about using nuclear weapons and said he wouldn't take using nukes off the table against Europe. He questioned why we can't use nuclear weapons if we have them. So he's a crazy person. But to imply that Hillary Clinton is just this savior is, again, I really take issue with it. It's very problematic. It's troubling. And Casey isn't the only person that does this. Many people who are now supporting Hillary Clinton are pushing this same narrative, and it's very dangerous. He also said, if this guy gets elected and you stood back with your arms folded, it makes you complicit. It makes you personally responsible for handing him the reins of power. And this is another problematic assertion here because it encourages Democratic Party loyalism rather blindly. I mean, if it's the case that you're complicit for not helping Hillary Clinton get elected, then are you also complicit if you do help Hillary Clinton get elected, if she inevitably starts more wars and kills more civilians in Middle Eastern countries? I mean, I don't know. It's an open question, and I'm not saying this to accuse Casey Neistat or put blood on his hands if Hillary Clinton does start any wars if he votes for her, but I'm just saying I feel very gross about voting for Barack Obama, knowing that he immediately ramped up the drone strikes in Pakistan, Yemen, Somalia, and killed so many civilians. And now we have drone wars with Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya. And look, I feel complicit in that. I feel as though I'm an accomplice to murder. My tax dollars are paying for the deaths of civilians abroad. So this is an open question, but I'm posing this question to Casey. If it's the case that you're an accomplice for Trump getting elected and, you're culpable for anything that he does that helps destroy the country, then are you also guilty for anything Hillary Clinton does that destroys the country? I mean, poverty will inevitably increase under her if she continues with these free trade deals that ship our jobs overseas. Is that not something that's terrible? I mean, just because she's better than Donald Trump, in your opinion, doesn't make her a good candidate. And that, I think, is the takeaway from this video. You can, again, support the lesser of two evils to prevent the person who you dislike the most from winning. That's a strategy that many voters use in two-party systems like our own. But you don't have to lie to people and be disingenuous and say that Hillary Clinton is great. I mean, by saying that she just has stale policies, it's way more than that, Casey. Her policies are very dangerous. Okay, this is the Democratic equivalent of George W. Bush. She supported the Iraq War. She voted for the Patriot Act. I mean, these are policies that are literally eroding our Constitution and the integrity of our democracy. And yet, you're trying to paint her as this morally superior choice and that anyone who doesn't fall in line and support her is somehow unethical. And I think that that's just wrong and problematic. I will not be voting for Hillary Clinton, and I know that doesn't apply to me because I'm not a non-political YouTuber. I've stated who I'm voting for multiple times. I'm voting for Jill Stein because she's the only candidate that I know that I can trust will not start any wars, will not increase poverty, who's actually going to fight to not just mitigate climate change, but help us adapt to a new world that requires green technology, less fossil fuels. That's why I'm supporting Jill Stein. And so the fact that he told people to basically call out these other YouTubers for not supporting Hillary Clinton or speaking out, I find that really troubling because effectively you're encouraging trolling. You're saying, hey, if YouTuber X doesn't speak out in favor of Hillary Clinton, then you need to go and call them out, get them to talk kindly about Hillary Clinton. And many YouTubers like Philip DeFranco and Boogie are coming out saying, look, I don't really support either of these two people. I don't like Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump. I'm not enthusiastic to support Hillary Clinton, and I think they're both evil. Hillary Clinton might maybe be the lesser of two evils, but that doesn't necessarily mean that she's not really, really, really evil. Look, in the end, I have no bad feelings about Casey Neistat. I think he's probably a nice person. It seems like his videos are very entertaining and fun, but, I do disagree with some of the points that he made in this video, and I wanted to kind of address those.